try to find my picture and then I'll be done. So I think it was about 4 years ago. We had a live stream demo by Trent Bosch on the Bowl of Illusion is what he called it. And it was basically making a hollow form that looked like another hollow form was growing out of. Very nice, a very neat project. I scaled it way down to what I knew I could handle on hollowing and with the tools I had. And when I got done, I kind of created what Trent had demonstrated, and then I took it a little bit farther because to me it looked like a flower. So I turned it into a flower using, all right here we go. So this has a cherry piece inside the outer, I believe it's a ash. I don't know that for sure. That is emerging out of it. And it was a process of boiling the inner part to the point where it was flexible enough to stuff into the middle, and then taking a balloon and blowing it up to push it and glue it to the edge so that it looked like it was literally coming out of the inside of it. And then I took it and added the little beads and what my daughter told me is a stamen there in the very center. And those are actually just skews. What do I want to say? Bamboo skews. And then I had some diamond wood, which was the pink colored stripy color that I used to make the seeds that were coming out of it. After I created the form, I actually then cut a piece of plexiglass in the shape of a leaf and took it onto my stove and got it hot enough to start bending it and bent it into shape so that it would kind of set inside of it and it kind of holds a little. So I was really proud with the way that turned out and the fact that I'd actually followed all the instructions that I got during the demo. So that's my show and tell there, or my challenge.
Well, I saw this for the first time with already lost it. I saw someone turn this a long time ago, and I decided that I was going to make one. And then not guess here, how's it? And so I decided I was going to make one, and it's been years and years ago. And so Chris made one, and I guess he made 2 of them, brought them last month. Did you? Yeah. And so the assignment was to make something kind of special, and so I made this. It's made mostly out of African blackwood, and the little rings are made out of boxwood. The lingam and yoni are made out of pink ivory. It's all 20 threads to the inch. And I cannot think of that lady's name. There we go. I saw her make one in Utah a long time ago. She's got them in pictures, different various places. And so this is, the middle part here is a giant palm tree seed. And I figured that's an acorn. And so what I did was put a little acorn on the bottom of this first stem. I had to number the little boxwood pieces. I made it so that the acorn stuck out the bottom, so it was just kind of a, I don't know, a little extra something. The hard part was getting the pieces to stand straight, and nobody, I don't think there's any humans who can make it perfect. And so what I did was, when you screw it together, it wobbles slightly. It makes a slightly drunken thread. And so what I did was cut a little more material off, like for instance, right here, so it would screw on a little further until it ran through. And that's kind of a normal thing to do on a box. The lingam and yoni, it's Sanskrit, and it refers to the male and female principle in almost every Oriental religion. And that was kind of thrown in at the end because I had these holes in the inside the box and didn't know what to do with them. So I just added them. It's just wax to finish.
I was gassing up the gas station and this guy come along. He'd got a whole trailer full of this wood. I said, wow, can I have a piece of that? He said, sure. He said it was hedge wood, but I believe it's Osage orange. Yeah. Well, anyway, the second part is we had a long flight. I bought this magazine, and then the magazine is the picture of the lighthouse and all the directions and so on. I'm not good at reading directions. I put it on the lathe and I cut everything off that didn't look like a lighthouse. And then if you look at the picture, they've got 2 holes at the top. And I chickened out when it came time to punch the holes in there. So, and then the other thing is on the cutoff. It's got a little wobble. I call it a Chandler wobble. So if there's an earthquake, this lighthouse is just going to stand. It won't fall over. I guess that's all I got. If anybody wants the magazine, they can have it. There's some other stuff in here that's fun to make.
I kind of did 2 this month. I did one of the square bowls, square plates. I kind of liked that. It actually came out pretty even, which was nice. I've tried it a couple times and didn't come out well. So nice to see that it actually came out well. And then I did my first hollow form. So I'm going to say that I like that. My dad's been bugging me about doing the urn because, he's only 75, but boy, you'd think he was dying tomorrow. He's this last bed I'm going to buy. This last truck I'm going to buy. Okay. So I sent him a picture of it, from way back or, from back. So it looked like a full size urn. And then I sent him one with a little Lego man sitting next to it. I said, I'm going to need you to lose some weight, fit in there. So, and I actually made, first time I'd made tools, I had an old screwdriver and an old Allen wrench. And I just handled the Allen wrench and made a couple of scrapers, smaller stuff, because I've got some bigger, but not smaller. So I did that with a couple of handmade tools. So I was pretty proud of it. So appreciate it. Oh, also, I've got a white 4-wheel drive Chevy out there that used to have some white paint on it. I've got a bunch of aromatic cedar and a couple pieces of another couple pieces of something else. I've been clearing woods, so you're welcome to help yourself. Some of it's pretty small, and there's some bigger chunks back there. So help yourself if you want after the meeting. Yep.
I'm going to move the tape. That's why I really came up. All right. So Easter is coming, and I made some eggs. Thank you. Easter is coming, and I made some eggs. And just very simply is something called marble wood that's imported. Get it from Woodcraft, I think. It's something I don't remember what it is, but it's awfully pretty. And it opens.
So it's a lidded box. Easter egg. And the last one, the camera will pick that up. So I poured epoxy on the wood burl. Let's see. Let's do this for the camera. So it's kind of greenish blue. And then while it was setting, I literally took a toothpick in blue dye, and dipped it down in there and swirled it around to make some lines. And I was like, this is not the best way to light that up, but feel free to do the same afterwards. And it's a little oversized. I don't think it's quite ostrich, but it's definitely bigger than duck. So. This is finished with lacquer, and this is not finished with anything. That's just buffed and polished on one of those Beal buffs. And the same thing with, I don't ever put any finish on anything that's epoxy. Since it's essentially just a plastic, I just buff it really, really well with one of those Beal buffs. And I took that up to their second level, which is like a diamond grit, what it's called. I don't know what the grit number of that is, but yeah. Thank you.
Okay, I read a book. It was The Creative Woodturner by Terry Martin. So these are Terry Martin inspired boxes. Sphere for a lid. I started with this one made out of elm, and then I made a second one out of walnut. I like the whole idea, if premise is to make something a little bit different. So I've got square, and I've got round, I've got smooth, and I've got rough. And not only is it square to the world, but it's got a compound angle on the bottom. So it sits at an angle, and I really liked it. He gives some instruction on how to make it. A lot of it you have to figure out for yourself. But for example, the sides of it are cut on a bandsaw. Cut grooves at 45 degrees, cut grooves at 40 degrees, and cut grooves at 35 degrees. And this is what you come up with. And so I thought it was a fun project. I really liked it, and I had to make it. So that was special to me. So thank you.
That's so nobody trips over the cord, and somebody owes me $10 because like 3 people have taken it already. I forget what the assignment was for this month. I thought it was to bring in something you like. Good. Okay, then I did that. I brought in 2 pieces. One, this was the first piece that I made that had this kind of secondary rim or an inner rim to it, and I got the idea from an Irish woodturner named Liam Flynn. And Liam passed a number of years ago, but there's a really great book about his stuff. And this is definitely not like one of Liam's pieces, but it was really inspired by his work. This was the first time that I kind of done it, and I thought I was really successful with it. I really liked this piece, and I tried to sell it, and it never sold, so I'm not going to sell it anymore, unless somebody pays me a lot of money. But it means a lot to me. Just I tried a lot of new techniques on it. And it was at a time where I was trying to figure some things out, and I really love how it turned out. And then this is a later version of kind of a similar idea. I used some different tools to do it, but I really love the texture on the outside of it. And if you get the opportunity to go pick it up, just pick it up and just feel the texture. I I turned both these when they were really wet, and I sanded them when they were really wet. And the cool thing about that is once they're sanded and they start to dry, they just kind of shrink up and get this fun texture to it. And then if you buff it on a wheel, and I just buffed it, I think without any kind of paste or anything like that, I just buffed it with a cotton wheel. And it really just helped kind of give it a nice polished feel. And I finished them with tongue oil and then buffed the tongue oil out again. So there's really not much to it, but I really love how they feel. So yes. The what? Maybe Liam Flynn.
He was an Irish.
That could be. I mean, he died a couple of years ago. Is it recent? Yeah, like maybe 10 years ago. I'll have to look him up. I mean, I've only seen one video of him working, and it is kind of in a small dark room. And he makes like these big, tall kind of vessels and things, but he does this kind of false rim to them, which is really interesting. And I don't know how he does it because we didn't have YouTube. And so no one took videos of him working, but his work is really interesting. And the end result's really cool. And then he did textures and other sorts of things too. But yeah, so I really like these pieces, and they're some of my favorites. I've done a lot of things since, and a lot of the same style since, but I really like these two specific.
I took Anthony's box course a couple of years ago, and I had made a bunch of boxes before that, but his 2-day course was very good, and I learned a lot. And I've made a whole bunch since. What I wanted to mention tonight was, have you guys ever used Milliput? Any of you ever used that? I discovered that epoxy resin I've tried on bowls, now and again. And boy, that is messy and hard to control, and I hate it. I got it everywhere. And then I somehow discovered Milliput, which is epoxy resin. They call it a putty. When you mix up the two parts, it's 2 sticks. It comes out the consistency of modeling clay. And so what you can do with it is, a lot of times I've made finials, or this, I'd call that a dome, put a screw in it and then form that around it. And it takes about 4 hours to dry. I usually give it overnight. And then you can put it back on the lathe. You can mill it, sand it, paint it, texture it. And I think it adds a lot of interest and color to the projects. And it's really easy to use. And I think it's like $7 or $8 for one of these. The only drawback is there's not many colors. There's black, white, aqua, and whatever they call this, terracotta, I believe. And I've tried taking the white and putting mica color in it, and that didn't go too well. I wish they'd come out with more color. But it's a... Which one is that? Yeah. We'll tell everybody that's what we're trying to do. But anyway, I've enjoyed using it, and it's really, I think it adds a lot to my project. So hope you give it a try. Thank you.
I'm Terry Johnston, and I thought it was bring something that you made that your family would identify as something you made. So I've been making ornaments now since October, I think, and these are two of the ones I really like. I'm making more of them. This is one of the bigger ones. I experimented with the inside and the sides. I enjoyed it. I'm definitely enjoying it. Why would I make them for 4 months if I didn't enjoy making? And then this is a inside-outside ornament that I brought before, and there's a gentleman in here who made one very similar that's so elegant. But I still am proud of this one. This is an inset, and I'm still making notes. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Charity. Terry keeps saying that I need to bring something to show, so I'm bringing something to show. I am. I was practicing, I got a new bowl gouge at Christmas, and so I was trying to make bowls. So this is my first bowl ever, and it just has it's the ring from the ball food jar glued in, epoxy, super easy. This one is a spindle work and a bowl. And obviously honey dipper, our honey guy gives us, we get our honey in jars like this. So it was a necessity thing. But, I don't know. I made them.
Well, I've been at this a while, and around Easter, one of the things I like to turn are eggs. But quite frankly, the family is covered up in eggs by this point in time. And so I tried to think of something different I could do. And I thought, well, maybe if you turned an egg and you had the chicken right before he hatched, or but just as he's kind of coming out the side, maybe that they might like that. So anyway, that's that is the thing you have to be careful of. The one over there, I didn't bring it over, but it's a darker chicken, and the hole is dark, so you can't hardly see the chicken. So I decided, well, I was going to paint it egg yellow, and they do stand out a little bit. Anyway, we'll see what happens.
Well, Kevin told me I need to bring something, and Dave's been trying to get me motivated back into turning again. But my most recent bowl I couldn't get for my daughter. They were all sick, grandkids, and no, I wasn't going over there. So I brought this this is something I turned back in high school, which I am proud of it because I learned a whole lot. Because this was turned in the old days where we had the dead center, and that taught me when you get it all measured out, don't listen to anyone to tell you you're wrong, because that's how the dead centers were made. And secondly was my finish. There's over, I stopped counting at 30, but there's over 30 coats of lacquer on this. Ask me why I have so many coats. Please ask me. I know you're thinking, why? Well, because after I sprayed it, there's no way to sit down and walking around like this. And someone would always walk up and say, oh, that's really cool. So guess what I had to do? I had to sand and refinish. But both, didn't matter how I carried it, someone always grabbed it. So there's over 30 coats. You hold it up, you can actually see the depth of the coats. And it's made from 3 pieces of scrap wood from shop class. This is all in grain. The plaster over on the end. But I just had to pay for his supplies, because this was all scrap wood.
I'm Gary. Segment and bowl I did. It's the second one I've ever done. The first one was exactly the same, and it exploded on me. So I did it again, and was a little bit more successful in this one. You know, Terry mentioned about her ornaments that her family likes them. My wife was very happy with this one because it was all scraps from my shop, and she was happy I was getting rid of some wood in our basement. So, and that's exactly what it is. It was just scraps I had laying around, cut off some trim pieces and stuff. There were some boards that were split, things like that. You know, some of it's a little bit, very spalted, I guess, or actually moldy. So I just some wood I put together that I had sitting around, cut the segments, and like I said, the first one exploded. So this one, it's a pretty thick wall, but I got a little gun shine in my second one. So maybe the third one I'll try a little thinner.
Think that brewer telling outside of drawing a ticket to see who won a $10 gift certificate today, which I think I'll look at this nice gentleman right here to pull out a ticket, and we got number 536. Somebody got 536? All right, Rick, you have a $10 craft supply gift certificate. You're welcome. All right, so we have our challenge table, and then we also have our show and tell. So if you brought something up for show and tell, let's get through our show and tell stuff. But I don't know, most of our challenge was show and tell type items. We got a few.
Okay, last month was everything's leaning. So this is my 2x4 challenge for a club tomorrow. It's made out of half a 2x4, and I made a similar piece 2 years ago. The 4-foot 2x4 sat in my garage for 2 years, so this is the second part of it. It's hollow all the way through. The walls are 3/16 or less, a whole lot less. And I cut the bottom at an angle. I cut the top at an angle, just to give it a little interest. And painted it with blue dye and lacquer.
Linda wanted to wear her, what was that? St. Patrick's Day necklace that I made years ago, and I used Kevin's magic formula for knocking the edges off the cubes to make the sphere. And so I made several of those for gifts and kept that one from Linda. That's the back side. It's a Celtic knot. And so I thought I'd bring some other spheres that I made. I made this sphere, again, using Kevin's magic formula. And I always display things. When I display them, I always think one thing looks kind of lonesome, and so I try to make something else that goes with it for my display shelf, so that those go together, and it was made out of the same piece of ash. Thanks. And then the item that I'll never make again because too many disasters before I finally got one made. First of all, my base is a manzanita burl, which is like turning iron. So if you've got a tool that you want to shorten, because you have to sharpen it about 50 times, turn a manzanita bowl. They look nice, but man, they're tough. Then I put some buckeyes in it, and it holds my maple sphere. And the cool thing about that maple sphere, it's a box. And the inside, which is why I'll never do it again, is Paduke. So you turn two balls that fit together and then you follow. Anyway. Or you might need to buy it. So anyway, Steve Van Loo just joined the club. Recently retired, so now I finally have time to work on these things. Wanted to bring just a couple of examples of something I'm kind of interested in: laminated bowls, or a board from or bowl from a board. So you know, idea I got off of Pinterest. Pinterest is dangerous. I look at stuff. I'm like, oh, where could that be? Yeah. So this is just kind of, you know, blew up like you would a cutting board, and then cut concentric cones in it on the bandsaw with the bed tilted, and stack them up and turn it. And what I like about it, a couple of things is, one, there's very little waste. I mean, this is, you know, 1 3/4 inch board basically, and two, just the design possibilities are endless. I was inspired by some artists that I found a lot of pictures of, Michael Mode online on Pinterest and stuff. And he had much prettier things than this, but kind of the same concept. So just thought it was an interesting approach. And then this is kind of the same technique, but just a board that's cross-cut both directions with veneer ply in there, and then burned. I am a retired engineer, so you know, I do like to sketch things up. So if anybody wants to see the sketching that I did on these, just to figure out the, you know, the angles of each layer and all. So. Okay.
Storm. I've been turning since November, I think now, so still fairly new. I just kind of brought a smattering of pens that I've been worked on kind of throughout the time, with kind of more beginner pens, and then they kind of worked up, and those have been the more recent ones. And I've been doing pens and handles, and it's been fun because the pens kind of, you know, help me learn the basics of spindle work and stuff, and it's been fun too because a lot of this is scrap wood. For example, this was cherry and walnut that, I kid you not, I literally got out of one of the garbage cans in the Woodworkers Guild one time, and just glued it together and burned it, and turned out nice. This guy also came out of the garbage can, kind of fun. But so I've been working on that and giving them out to friends and family, and then I've also been getting into handles. And I've made a few gouges myself, and then, you know, these are just the smaller ones. So this is a marking knife I just made the other day, and then this is probably one of the smallest roughing gouges you guys will ever see. Thought about returning it, but the handle was nice. I'm like, well, I gotta have to put something on the handle, so ended up doing that. And then recently, I got scared bringing this down, but my sister's getting married in May, and Gannon, he's my future brother-in-law. You've probably seen him around turning too. I don't know if we can see that, but that I made their cake cutters. So yeah, so been having fun. Yeah. And after tonight, I think my goal is I'm going to work on finishes because I want my stuff shiny like everyone else's. So.
All right, it looks like Elizabeth may have gotten on the road already. I'm always worried about her being here too late. So you've got about an hour drive here. So I appreciate everybody coming tonight. I hope you enjoyed seeing all the variety of things. I think the challenge left it open to really get a variety of of different things on our challenge table and on our show and tell table this week. And really appreciate y'all's participation in that, because it wouldn't be any good if it was just me doing this thing. Hope you enjoyed the demo today. I know it's kind of fast and furious, and it's not a real involved item, but it's a fun thing to have around. It's an easy thing to turn. So I wanted to show something that you could do with a flat board. If you ever come across those and wonder what the heck can I do on the lathe with this little piece of 3/4 inch thick wood, that is what I came up with. I hope you all have a great night tonight, and I hope I see you all next month, second Monday. We will be back at it, and we'll do this all again. Challenge is to turn something that's a game. Turn a game. Simple is good, but go as ornate as you want to, and it doesn't have to be a top game. It can be any kind of game you want. Do it on the lathe. So till next month, thank you, and we will see you all later. If we can get some help getting the chairs back put onto the carts, that'd be great. And I think that's it. Thanks, Rob.